Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters, our look at the very best of France 24 from around the world. In this edition, we go to Afghanistan. This has been one of the most deadly years for the NATO coalition so far. Over 450 soldiers have been killed. The USA has announced a withdrawal of all its troops by 2014, but 10,000 will have been pulled out already by the end of this year. Set against a security scenario that's not improving, you get a bleak picture of what lies ahead. The pullout is being interpreted in different ways. Certainly Barack Obama has acted with an eye on a presidential re-election next year. But can it be seen as a victory? Many say things in Afghanistan would be much worse if there hadn't been a NATO campaign, Operation Enduring Freedom. But others point to the human cost, soldiers and civilians, and ask, has it been worth it? France 24 reporters Cyril Vanier and Sylvain Rousseau have been to the province where more soldiers have been killed than in any other, to Helmand, to share the day-to-day routine of the US Marines, the ones who will be going home, to share their hopes and their fears.
This morning is shaping up to be like any other. These Marines are going to track down Taliban fighters and risk their lives once again. They will be following the orders of Lieutenant Joseph Hansen. At 24 years old, he has been awarded 2 Purple Hearts for injuries in combat.
Used to be excited, now it's just get everyone back safe.
This is Helmand Province, southern Afghanistan, a vast stretch of nothing. And a small patch of farmland, empty except for a few farmers, 100 to 300 Taliban fighters, and for the last 6 months, a battalion of the US Marine Corps.
Roger, copy.
Hansen's team has had 12 injuries already. 2 men lost a leg after stepping on an improvised explosive device, or IED.
The good thing about the cornfield is we're not worried about IEDs as much as we would be, because the Taliban, they don't want to mine the field that the villagers work in.
Today's mission, push into a village 500 meters to the north, thought to be a Taliban hideout. 12 Marines walk in single file, staying 10 meters apart at all times.
In the next 100 meters here, once we get past this open area, it becomes very dangerous. Every time that I've been north of this position, we've gotten engaged with small arms fire and medium machine guns.
They edge forward, inch by inch. Fighters and civilians look exactly the same around here. Every movement is a potential threat.
Fuck off, donkey.
Hansen has called for backup. A second squad of Marines 300 meters away, armored trucks with heavy machine guns, and 2 attack helicopters. American intelligence says a dozen fighters on motorcycles have just moved into the village.
Hey, take cover, take cover. Take Bell, I got his position. That's coming from the west side of the canal.
A first burst of enemy fire and then nothing.
Give me a machine gun right up here, west, sir.
Insurgents are outgunned. They have apparently decided not to pick a fight.
Keep your eye on this guy, Gibbons. I want a close bolt on him.
Then something strange happens. A couple of youths on motorcycles casually roll up. Taliban fighters, perhaps.
Salam alaikum, salam alaikum.
Lieutenant Hansen and his translator greet them politely.
Tell him that I know I saw the other night, I saw an individual come in here with weapons. I just want to know where they keep them. They won't tell us. They'll never tell you, but I just want to put some pressure on them.
You believe there are Taliban next to us right now?
Oh yeah. At least one of those kids is a fighter. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's definitely they bring weapon here. Definitely they bring ID here. Yeah.
It's like I told you, even if they have 15 guys, they didn't want to get into a fight with us today, so all they have to do is leave their weapons inside.
Yeah.
You're talking to Taliban right now?
Yes.
3 o'clock they come out and they open.
Marines are not allowed to search houses without being invited inside. So the search for weapons and fighters is complicated, often impossible.
Hey Gibbons, give me 2 for security, more yet.
Hansen and his men have little choice but to leave. And the walk back feels different today. This was the team's very last patrol in Afghanistan before heading home.
It's nice being here and doing the job that we've been training so hard to do, but at the same time, there's a lot of difficulties that we won't miss. the bad food, the no showers, being dirty all the time, getting shot at most of the time. We won't miss those things. Salam alaikum.
This is what, 3 of what?
Senge, Jordi. Shayam.
About 2 kilometers away on a hilltop, tucked behind a wall of sandbags, the American flag flies discreetly between rows of tents. Welcome to the headquarters for the 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines, codename Darkside. 1,000 soldiers, and they are the first American unit to pull out of Afghanistan.
My comforter, my all in all, here in the love of
Drew, the battalion's chaplain, is holding the final service this evening. Between the camouflage Bibles and M16 assault rifles, Marines have come to praise God.
fullness of God in helpless faith.
I pray that you continue to be with the men and women who serve here in Afghanistan and around the world. I just pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
And for the last communion, Drew thought he'd do something special. He managed to find real fresh bread, and despite the strict no-alcohol policy, real red wine. For the last 6 months, believers have been coming here searching for the inner strength to fight.
Most Marines are hard as rocks. I mean, they're hard. They're devil dogs. What we do is kill people. But there's always that, man, it could be my last. But I look forward to it. As sick as it sounds, it's like, if it's my last, it's actually my first. It's my last breath here is my first breath in the presence of the Lord, which is, bring it on. Let's go. I'm ready now. I'm ready.
Most Marines, however, would prefer to live as long as possible, and the best way to do that is to move around the battlefield at night.
Good morning, 3rd Squad.
It's 4 a.m. Marines pack water to resupply outposts under cover of darkness.
Ready to go.
The camps are close together. It's only 300 meters to the next one, across a field and a canal. We decide to stop at observation post number 41.
You look nice with your mustache.
You like that?
Yeah, I like it.
Who said that? I can't grow a mustache back in the States. Girls don't like it.
Oh, yeah? Really?
So I grow it here.
Go, Doc.
Come roll ready to go.
The next morning, we understand why it has such a good reputation. It has a running track, a pool,
Guys, how's the water?
It's good.
Yeah?
That's cool. Usually it's kind of cold, but today it's been real nice.
You don't really have to eat like butter.
even pancakes for breakfast, Marine style.
Is this Marine cooking? Yes. That's fast. We have like some powdered butter that we put a little bit of water in. So we're dipping the balls in the butter and kind of like frying them. Should turn out all right, maybe.
How does it compare to home?
It doesn't.
A large Afghan villa in the middle of Taliban territory. Ideal for an observation post.
So usually it's pretty soon.
Occupants left the compound a long time ago. It now houses 12 Marines. And since the insurgents have not attacked or shot at the post for at least a week, the atmosphere is pretty relaxed.
Can't stop.
Even a little boring.
It really sucks because every 5 seconds you're looking at your watch like, what day is it? What day is it? And it's the same day, just 5 minutes later. So I mean, it does get kind of boring and like drawn out in the last 2 weeks.
To pass the time, Jonathan Tucker does what they all do, exercise over and over.
I got to read
In a few weeks' time, he will return to civilian life, far away from here. American soldiers will leave this area, replaced by a small number of British and Afghan troops, Not enough, though, to stop a Taliban advance. Staff Sergeant Adams has been in the military for a decade, long enough to know what will happen when the Marines pull out.
Thousands of people will move in here. This compound in particular, I wouldn't be surprised if 200 people lived here in just 2 months from now.
And the Taliban?
Possibly. Quite possibly, certainly.
We'll be back in this area.
Yes.
A few kilometers away, Lieutenant Joseph Hansen has an appointment with village elders. The officer with the 2 Purple Hearts has come to hear their grievances, patiently, with his gun down and his helmet off. But he already knows what they're going to say. It's the same conversation every time.
Our problem is simple. We want the Americans to leave. If they leave, the Taliban will leave.
Why is it that they feel like they can come here with me, ask me to come meet with them and demand things, but they can't do the same with the Taliban?
But the Talibans don't respect us. They just do what they want. So we're asking you for a favor. Please leave our village and our houses so we can go back home.
We will leave this entire area. When the attacks stop happening, we'll leave.
The elders have not realized it yet, but Lieutenant Hansen can no longer make demands. The pullout of his unit was decided a long time ago, and in 2 weeks, the villagers will finally get what they asked for. Back at battalion headquarters, the big move has already begun. Kilo Company 2nd Platoon has almost finished packing. Corporal Gakin is doing his last inventory. Every piece of equipment has to be accounted for.
One of them should be checked out, the other one isn't.
Next. 02971. Next.
Gakin has been working with these weapons for 7 years. Iraq, then Afghanistan, he has fought the 2 wars of his generation, and now he's done for good. Ask him what he will miss most, and he doesn't need to think about it for long.
I don't know. I love it all. My gun, honestly, like having the M4, my 203, being able to blow shit up. It's always fun. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely had to save my gun. I mean, it's always with you. You never leave it behind. It's kind of like your own little brother. You know, little brother won't leave you alone. That's how I think of my gun. So.
Corporal Gakin will soon say goodbye to his trucks and his gun. A few days from now, 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines will be gone. Even the gym will make its way back to the United States. 10,000 American soldiers are scheduled to leave Afghanistan before the end of the year. And all the combat troops should be gone by 2014.
Cyril Vanier is here in the studio with us. Cyril, the soldiers clearly want to go home. Do they have a sense about them that this has been a job well done?
I think the definition of success for the American military has changed over time. That's very much the impression we got when we arrived in Afghanistan. The military now has a political objective which has been set by the president, which is to pull out. They have not eradicated the Taliban threat. Taliban is still very much present. They're still in the region where we were. There were 100 to 300 Taliban in that region versus roughly 1,000 Marines. And the Taliban are still there. What the Marines are looking to do now is not necessarily to make sure that the Taliban will never come back. They are trying to build governance. They're trying to protect road axes. They're trying to have a country that can function at least the vital parts of the government and of the infrastructure. And they're trying to pull out and leave at least that skeleton of a country in the hands of the Afghan security forces.
These are our combat troops. Working in this way, it must be actually quite frustrating for them, I imagine.
Well, some of the Marines, it's true, feel that the rules of engagement that are imposed on them
make their job more difficult. We showed in this story that they can now actually search the houses in which they believe, in which they sometimes know that weapons are being hidden, because they can't go in unless they're invited in by a local. So this job has now been delegated to the Afghan National Army. The Marines are not fighting the war to the fullest. Most of them are aware of that, but that job is being delegated to the Afghan soldiers.
One hears the phrase hearts and minds being used about this campaign quite often. Is there any sense among these Marines that that battle for hearts and minds has been won?
What the locals feel, the Afghans, is that they would prefer to live with only one side, the Americans or the Taliban. What's better for the locals is for either one side to win the war or one of the sides to pull out. And that's what we see in the story. The Afghans are asking the Americans to pull out because they can't ask the Taliban to do that. The Taliban won't listen to them. And they don't feel that the Americans are winning the war militarily. Many, in fact, all the Afghans we met have told us as soon as the Americans pull out, the Taliban will reconquer that territory, that ground that they've lost.
And that, I think, is probably the best comment on what the future holds for Afghanistan. Cyril, thank you very much indeed. Sylvain's report, along with Sylvain Rousseau, is obviously viewable on our website, france24.com. Do check it out again if you want to. This is Reporters. You're watching France 24. Stay with us.